On today's Smart 7, there's no Brexit bonfire, Ukraine look for more time and lots more. It's Friday the 12th of May, it's International Nurses Day and happy birthday Pam St Clement.
The Smart 7. It's news, but
not the news.
Ministers have now been forced to scrap the PM's promise to replace all EU-era laws by the end of this year. The Business Secretary announced that around 600 of them would be revoked under their legislation rather than the 4,000 scheduled in the so-called post-Brexit bonfire. Leading Conservative Eurosceptic Jacob Rees-Mogg, who introduced the plans when he was in Liz Truss's cabinet, accused the government of going back on its word.
When Rishi Sunak resigned, he said in his resignation letter to Boris Johnson that he believed our people know that if something is too good to be true, then it's not true. He then said something that people like me wanted to hear and has failed to deliver it. And I'm afraid it's no good being holier than thou if you then end up behaving like a Borgia.
Tory Brexiteers are cross, but some business groups have welcomed the backtrack, as has Conservative MP Tobias Ellwood, who says the initial pledge would have been irresponsible.
It makes no sense whatsoever to dump 4,000 laws and have nothing to replace them.
And Kemi Badenoch received a dressing down over her handling of it all on Thursday. The Commons Speaker pulled her up for failing to update Parliament first in person about the policy change. She did apologise, but her tone left Sir Lindsay Hoyle pretty annoyed.
Who do you think you're speaking to, Secretary of State? Take it with good grace and accept it that members should hear it first, not a WMS or what you decide. These members have been elected by their constituents and they have the right to hear it first.
Bad news for mortgage holders as the Bank of England's raised interest rates for a record-breaking 12th successive time. It lifted the cost of borrowing by 1/4 point to 4.5%, adding that inflation will be higher than previously forecast. Professor Martin Wheel, a former member of the bank's Monetary Policy Committee, said the Prime Minister's pledge to halve inflation this year is in jeopardy.
Certainly there is a real risk that Sunak's inflation target won't be met, and I actually think he would have done better to leave discussions of inflation to the Bank of England.
On the plus side, the Monetary Policy Committee has confirmed there'll be no recession this year despite soaring costs. Meanwhile, Alex Brazier from the BlackRock Investment Institute was asked by the BBC if it's right for rates to rise again when millions of people are struggling.
Inflation is more costly when it gets out of control. The most costly thing that can happen to the economy is if inflation gets out of control, if it becomes embedded.
Volodymyr Zelensky said his country needs more time to launch a much-anticipated counter-offensive against Russia. Ukraine's president expressed his confidence in his armed forces and said they could go ahead with the push now, but they're still waiting for armoured vehicles.
Mentally, we're ready. In terms of equipment, not everything has arrived yet. We can advance with what we've got, and I think we can be successful. But we will lose a lot of people. I think that is unacceptable. We need to wait. We need a bit more time.
And following repeated pleas from Ukraine for more weapons from the West, the Defence Secretary's confirmed reports Britain's providing long-range cruise missiles for the first time. Ben Wallace told the Commons the country has the right to be able to defend itself.
Today I can confirm that the UK is donating Storm Shadow missiles to Ukraine. Storm Shadow is a long-range, conventional-only precision strike capability. The donation of these weapon systems gives Ukraine the best chance to defend themselves against Russia's continued brutality.
Train passengers have been warned to expect significant disruption from the latest strikes on Friday. Members of ASLEF are hitting the picket lines at 16 companies, with some running no services at all in the first of 4 separate days of walkouts by 2 unions. They coincide with both the Eurovision and FA Cup finals. It comes as the rail firm TransPennine Express is set to be nationalised following months of disruption. It's been stripped of its contract after figures showed it cancelled an average of 1 in 6 services in Northern England and parts of Scotland in March. Labour's Shadow Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds says the decision's long overdue.
I think it reinforces, again, the Labour Party position, which is as these franchises expire, we'll bring them back into public ownership, because there isn't a set of bidders for these franchises anymore. And where you've had the kind of service levels we've had with TransPennine Express, it is just simply not acceptable to continue in that way.
Still to come on the Smart 7, Stormzy steps up for Soccer Aid and Tom Holland's getting mysterious in the crowded room. Right after this. Welcome back. 3,
Stormzy's going to step off stage and onto the pitch at Old Trafford as manager of the England side for this year's Soccer Aid. The Man United fan will be assisted by former Spurs boss Harry Redknapp, Chelsea women boss Emma Hayes and Line of Duty star Vicky McClure for the charity event in June. Previously announced for the UNICEF England squad are Gary Neville, Sir Mo Farah, former England footballer Jill Scott and Paddy McGuinness. They face the World 11, captained by Olympic sprint champion Usain Bolt. So can Stormzy bring football home?
So I'll take Gaffer, boss. What else do they call the gaffer? This is an opportunity to, to show the world, my football mind. If at the 80th minute, it's 3-2 and we're on the back foot, then maybe I give Jose a call, what do I do here?
Eurovision hopeful Mae Muller says she's excited to represent the UK in Saturday's grand final with the track I Wrote a Song. Liverpool's hosting the event on behalf of Ukraine after it won last year, with electronic duo Tvorchi performing the song Heart of Steel, which was written during the fall of Mariupol. The second semi-final took place last night and sees crowd favourites Australia through to the final. Mae says the build-up's been huge and she's ready to go.
I feel like, before I was announced, before the song was released, you can never quite guess how it's going to go, so just seeing people enjoying the song and just enjoying Eurovision, it's just been very, very, I couldn't have asked for a better welcome, really.
Tom Holland and what may or may not be a wig star in new psychological thriller series The Crowded Room. The Spider-Man actor plays Danny Sullivan, who's arrested following his involvement in a shooting at the Rockefeller Center in New York in 1979. The 26-year-old's also an exec producer, with Amanda Seyfried playing the interrogator Raya Goodwin. It premieres on Apple TV Plus on June the 9th.
I have these blank spots. They're not the only people close to you to disappear, are they?
Do you think these are all victims?
Can you see how all of this can seem like it was you?
Wait, do you think that I'm the one pulling the strings?
What if I said I do?
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.